Okay, so I want to circle up on this for just a second, and I want to attempt to describe what I think it sounds like from my perspective, and I want you guys to tell me how right or wrong it is. So a static story is if I'm presenting to somebody I'm trying to get money from to make the city better, or a group of people that I'm trying to promote to work together to make the city better, and I go and I tell them 70% of Nashville's a food desert, something about sidewalks, give me money. Like that's a really simplified version, but that's just stats and then a request versus, John Doe lives in this part of town. And then, if he wants to walk to his closest grocery store, it takes this long. And then, instead of doing that 5 times a week, he goes to the closer fast food restaurant. And then, surprise, surprise, hypertension is up in that neighborhood. And then if you look at another neighborhood that doesn't have that, and then, kind of build the framework around like the individual story. Yep. In this case, it could be something else. But is that the difference between kind of the older way and the newer way, or is there more nuance, or is it just?
I think that was well said. I think this idea of anecdotal versus, analytical or data-driven, they're not mutually exclusive. They have to be together. You need the anecdotal story to make it familiar to people. Then the data scales it. So it's not just about one person anymore when you say 70% is a food desert, but if you say, meet Randall. Randall is, a retired guy from, worked in a warehouse and just wants to, get on with his life. But, and then you start going into the exact same story that you just went into, that now grounds it as, Randall's a human, not a data point. But let me tell you about all those data points and show that Randall isn't alone. Yeah, he's actually part of everything.
Yeah, I think this is a great tip for your audience. And in a sense is that often when we think about analyzing and presenting data, we think about we're going to summarize everything. We're going to give you the big number, the 70% food desert kind of number. And then maybe we'll go down and eventually we'll get to Randall and that conversation. But hooking people, and this gets to people's attention span, their ability, how do you engage them? Storytelling, if you think about movies and books and everything, is about you're sort of reeling someone in over time to get them to care about what you're talking about. Yeah. And starting with Randall and starting with that specific example, but then zooming out to say there are 1,000 or 10,000 Randalls. Like that is a different, potentially more powerful way of telling that story than starting with a big number and assuming that big number means something to somebody. Sure. So it doesn't mean anything until you've humanized it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, gosh, in my mind, I always go to like Pixar or Disney movies. And, as we're talking, I'm thinking of like Nemo. Like, do I care about a small little fish if it's just given to me in numbers? But if it has a character and it's Nemo and and you see its face, all of a sudden I'm going to save that small little fish. And by the way, there's a lot of fish like that. And so, you mean Nemo's not the only one? And those are some of the things that I think of when I capture the essence of a takeaway in a lot of my data storytelling.
But it's the combination of both. Yes. Is so critical because what we can get lost in is the anecdote, right? Yes. It's like you'll see the news story, this happened, you saw some rare occurrence, and then you're super worried about it or it's something you want to fix, but it really is rare when you put in the context of all the other issues that are going on. So that, being able to do both of those things side by side, I feel like is the recipe that is good data storytelling.